Roger, are you good? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Okay, perfect. And we can see each other, right? Technology's working. Who knew?
technology's working.
You know what kind of morning I've had, right? Okay, it probably shows, but I'm so glad you could join us. And one of the things I wanted to get into real quick was the fact of the matter is I specifically thought of you because of your skill sets. One, you're a business owner. Two, you really understand branding. Three, you really understand marketing, which comes before sales. And four, you really understand sales, my friend. You, you are quite possibly the perfect business owner to interview when it comes to helping our client base because you've probably got hours of wisdom. Maybe you've even written a book, I don't know, that talks a little bit about these types of purposes, if you will. And I think of them that way because branding has a purpose, marketing has a purpose, sales obviously has a purpose. But before we dive in, give us a little short intro. Tell me a little bit, something I didn't know about the great Roger Burnett, owner of Social Good Promotions, author of, or co-author, I should say, right? Co-author of an amazing book. Tell us about you. I don't want to give it all away.
My first sales job was selling Cutco knives.
Wow, I didn't know that. See, I learned something today.
And boy, you learn a lot about rejection selling knives.
Wow.
But yeah, so I often will tell people that my sales career predates the internet and that it's sufficiently old enough to drink. And
Well,
oftentimes my sales career meets me at the bar and may be there before me sometimes. You never know, right? So yeah, and I saw the shout out for Cutco there from the in the chat.
yeah,
Yeah,
you've got some fans apparently from Cutco Knives. That's really
yeah.
funny. Maybe, but if you've been doing this for a while, one of the things I've seen you do is I've seen you kind of shift in the last year and a half. You can correct me on my timeline, but I've seen what you've been doing with your own business and how you have aligned with some really important purposes. Maybe you can dive in with what you did and why you did it.
Yeah, so I have been both the supplier sales rep. So I worked for like if I worked for Epson, I've done that kind of work before, and then I've been in the position that I'm in today where I buy the products from those suppliers and sell them to my
An
end
end
buyers.
user, right?
Right. And so by being on both sides of the aisle, I think it's given me a unique perspective on what has made distributor businesses be more successful than average. And most of the time, what I've seen is the business owner has a really strong sense of what it is they want their company to be about. And when I was on the supplier side, I was working for a company that didn't really have a marketing budget at all. And I was lamenting that problem with one of my friends who was a distributor at that moment. And he said, well, quick, name me the supplier company that does the most good in the world. And Sanmar sort of immediately came to mind. But the question that the second and the third and the fourth suppliers were really difficult to sort of articulate, like,
Oh
who are
yeah,
they?
I see your point.
And so the point that was being made to me was, well, then why not use that as your marketing strategy? And it really was in that moment that what ultimately became promo cares kind of came to be. And it was during promo cares and my efforts to research other businesses in the promotional marketing industry that were doing great things to make the world a better place that I realized three really distinct facts about those businesses. One, they probably almost universally were having record sales year over year. They had loyal staff that never left, and they had raving fans for customers. So I immediately went downstairs and told my wife that I was compelled to start my distributorship, and this was the way that we were going to approach it. And really, Jay, what it's about, it's really nothing more than I'm still selling all the same things that everybody else is selling. But what I'm doing is I'm explaining the story behind why I use an all made t shirt, right? So thank you for putting me on after Mel
Of
because
course,
when I showed the video that All made about the whole project to my
right.
wife, her message back to me was, well, why would we use any other T-shirt than that one?
Oh man, you just made
Oh,
their
I
day.
love you.
Ah, did you hear that? I knew Mel was going to pitch in on that one.
Right. And I
Um,
mean, and All Made's on page 83 of the book. I mean, we reference them.
Oh, that's so cool,
And
Roger.
we wrote,
You couldn't have tied that one in well. So you showed the All Made commercial website and information to your wife. You guys got started, but you had a drive to be more focused with supporting social causes, supporting environmental causes, support trying what I call trying to find that alignment. Is that right?
yeah, yeah, for sure. So, it's really born in the visual that we've all seen, which is a overflowing garbage can at the entrance or exit of a conference center when we used to have trade shows.
Oh, that's
And
Terry's line. You can't take Terry's line. Talking
I
about
owe him a
trade
nickel.
shows.
I owe him a nickel.
You owe him a nickel. He owes you a nickel.
So, we call that brand fill. That's just poorly executed with not very much thought put into it. It just checks a box and it goes right from the person who bought it to the person who takes it straight to the garbage can, straight to the landfill. And it makes my heart hurt knowing that our industry contributes to the waste stream that way. So we make a point to try to be a little more purposeful in the way that both we design what it is that we sell. So it's meant to solve a problem that would be useful and something that someone would want to hold on to and be more of a commemorative than a tchotchke, if you will. And then, can we justify why something good in the world is going to happen from when we bought that widget and sold it to somebody else? What side benefit were we able to realize in the process?
So let's talk through that for a second. We don't have a lot of time, but can you give me an example? You just referenced All Made on page 88, which I love. We're going to talk about the book next, but what does that look like? Is it because of Samar and because of All Made and because of Basecamp and because of some of these other suppliers? That's how you can execute, or are you working from what the client wants and what they ask for?
Well, usually the customer, so everyone here that is on this uh, academy today,
Right.
you have competitors, and most of us are not the low cost provider. So, and there usually only can be one of those. So if you can't justify the delta between the low cost provider and yourself, then you're going to really struggle to be successful. So in order to be able to articulate what it is that makes you stand out, you need to have your brand values figured out. And by communicating what your brand values are, what you're really doing is giving the people who might be seeking what it is you sell a chance to choose you from the multitude of choices that there are out there. So by being able to communicate that well, you're actually giving yourself the chance to stand out. So what I'm trying to do most of the time with my customers is they don't even know most of the time what they care about. They're still trying to figure that out
Okay,
themselves
gotcha. You have to try to help them see the vision, and then you're trying to align that.
and then connect it. So if there's, for instance, an example that I give is I have a customer that wanted to buy some drinkware, and we found out that the owner of the company was a veteran who had lost a child in battle. So
Mm.
he had gone to war, family sent their child to war, passed away. So when I was able to then bring them tumblers that supported a veteran's cause and explain to them that now when they hand out those tumblers, they should tell the people who are receiving the tumblers why they were giving them that specific tumbler, not
That's
just that they were giving them a piece
Yep,
of drinkware,
perfect.
but there was a reason why they chose that specific one. And when that happened, when I was able to align the values of the organization with the product, it made it something more important than just a tumbler with their logo on it.
That's a perfect, beautiful story. I love that. Thank you for sharing that example. You nailed it. So tell me about the book, Roger. And while you're telling me, I'm going to try to find that screen. So tell us
Ha,
a little bit about this book. Our friend Danny Rosen has an amazing quote, which I want to share if you're okay with that. He says,
yeah,
build a brand at the speed of trust.
right.
And Danny he wrote the foreword in the book. Is that correct?
Yeah, and the book, there's at the very beginning of the book, there's an equation that was actually introduced by Dr. Stephen M.R. Covey, who is Dr. Stephen Covey's son. And in this book, The Speed of Trust, he offers up an equation that says to get the best results, you need three elements. You need strategy, execution, and trust. And how he arranges the equation is strategy multiplied by execution raised to the level of trust is where you get the best results. And so by creating alignment and attunement in your brand values, what you're really doing is you're giving yourself the best opportunity to be seen as a trustworthy choice. And if you remember in the equation, it's raised to the level of trust. So you could have a slightly poor strategy and maybe not really be executing on it really well. But if everybody trusts you, then the likelihood of you being successful is infinitely better. So you could have a great strategy and be executing on it well, but if nobody trusts you, then you're probably not going to perform as well as someone who has done the work to build up that trust level with their clients and their prospects.
So smart. I'm not surprised at all that you and Stan Phelps wrote this book. And I have a copy. I can wholeheartedly say that it is worth the read. It totally applies to our industry, whether you're a decorated apparel person, whether you're a promotional product person, whether you're a sign person, anybody that's listening to this, there's still hundreds of people listening, Roger. They need to know more about this book. Where would they go to get a copy?
Straight on out to Amazon, my friend. So Stan has actually written 16 books in the Goldfish canon, and 4 of them have been New York Times bestsellers. And so Red Goldfish was all dedicated to his research about how businesses that are aligned on purpose outperform the marketplace. And his books are very research based. And so he challenged me to come up with 300 examples of times when someone has used promotional marketing items in some way to make the world a better place. And as a result of that analysis, that we were able to put the book together specific to the promotional marketing industry and the ways that businesses who are aligned on purpose in our marketplace are also standing out in noteworthy ways.
Ah, that is awesome. Awesome news. So I would like to purchase 10 copies. If you would be so kind as to sign them so that we could give them away to some of the folks that have tuned in and stayed to the awesome juicy end with Roger Burnett. Roger, you are fabulous in every way. Is there anything that you need to say before I transition, because we're running over and I'm a little late?
Nope. You know where to, I'm on all the same places that Mel was talking about. If it's social media and you look to find me, you'll find me. And then if you want to follow the Promo Cares movement, we just passed 1,000 followers on Facebook today for the Promo Cares page. So we're excited about that. So find us there or on Twitter or on Instagram. You can find us pretty much anywhere you'd be looking.
Awesome. Well, I hope you can join us for the after party in the Easy Mixer. So I'm going to transition away from Roger right now. Thank you so much for your time, Roger. And we're